Welcome back everyone to the CR90 Corvette build. As you can see, this model is complete, well, almost complete. There's a couple of things I want to do still on this kit down the line, possibly adding lighting, the interior, which I haven't done yet. There'll be one more video after this where it'll be a turntable with no talking. So what I'm going to do in this video is show you the complete kit, and at the same time show you the fixes or the problems I found and the fixes to help you fix them. Or to make a model look like mine or better than mine, which I hope they will do. Okay, so just quick to go. I'll give you guys a quick turntable on the model. Came out very well with a paint job. You'll see more of this as I do this video. It's going to be kind of like a long video. There is quite a couple of, not too long a list of things that I want to go over. It'll make the build easier for you guys. But in my opinion, this could be a film-ready model with a better paint job than mine. Mine is, in my opinion, mediocre. I did not use the same paint scheme or paints that was used on the original model. But as you can see, as a mediocre builder, I think I am. It came out pretty nice. Okay, so the first things I'm going to say is I'll start from the beginning, which is your raw parts out of the mold as you get them will have air bubbles in certain areas. Example, okay, they won't be on the detailed areas. All the bubbles are basically hidden away, and where they are easy to repair. So example is this engine bit that I have in my hand over here. On the rear of this there might be small bubbles on the sides. Okay, and they're not seen because they are hidden away on the kit. I use my pointer. They're hidden away on the kit in these areas. Okay, so don't worry too much about them, just cover them up with model filler and it'll be fixed. Okay, another issue that I found was some of the engines, these fins that come on that are inside, I think it might be cooling fins. Sometimes, well, some of them are very thin for some reason. As you can see, this one broke off. So what I've done on some kits, I've actually recovered those parts and glued them back on. On this one here, this is a spare piece. I actually have the little piece of plastic to glue back on again. So this part will be recoverable. They actually all are. You can use very thin styrene. If you can get 0.5 mil styrene, just glue a strip on to complete it, or to leave it as it is. It might look like battle damage, which I often do with models. If parts break, I make it look like battle damage. Plus it's a hidden area as well. It's between the engines. Okay, so the parts also will have seam lines. Various parts will have different seam lines, different areas. This one here, it runs along the side through onto the rear of the engine. Easy to sand down and fill. Like this main body section, it will run along the fin on the side. Sand them down lightly. Okay, around the side. Pretty easy to clean up some of the parts. Okay, so that's air bubbles done. Okay, so part aside. Okay, so next thing is alignment. Okay, so important thing is that your pipe on the inside lines up from the rear to the front, and I'll explain in the build document how it's done. But the important thing is, before you screw the front on, which is under this front gun, there's a screw underneath, that you screw the rear on. Okay, so there's a screw under this part, and then the bottom piping section, which is this little part of here, it just pushes in, and there's a screw underneath here as well. You can see it. So screw these in. Once they're in, then glue your pipes together, and then put your top section in, and once it's pushed together very tightly, push it against your body without the engines on, obviously, and then drill the hole through the pipe, through the PVC pipe on the inside, and screw it in. So I do not recommend lifting the model up without the screw in, because if you lift it over here, this whole thing's going to fall apart and you might break it. Okay, so it's very, very important to line it up before you do it. These two parts are separate, so they get glued together. So just make sure that this is lined up when you glue it. They fit very, very well. Okay, so as you can notice, I mean, it's a pretty obvious thing on this CR90 is the rear engine is huge and heavy, and it weighs a lot more than the front. And as it is with the head on, it almost tips over. The head actually is the counterweight. I mean, if I do this, it starts lifting very, very easily. So I'd recommend, I'm going to do it, is getting some lead, maybe from a fishing shop, and then just pop it into the top section over here that's open. Okay, just that it balances out. You don't want the model to fall over backwards. It's fine as it is, but take the head off to work on it, and then you don't think, and then boom, it does a wheelie. They're not ideal, okay, especially on an expensive kit. Okay. Okay, so then delicate parts are the next thing is your printed parts. Like this example is a printed part. There's a lot of printed parts. These side parts over here, in this area over here, there's printed parts. I mean, your guns are printed. Okay, the pipes are actually metal. Some detail on top. When you cut your printed parts, do it very, very delicately with a very sharp cutter. I have a sharp cutter which works very well. It's actually from an electronic shop, and it's made to get to difficult areas. It's got a very, very sharp tip. Okay, so that's Mark II. Okay. Other delicate part is going to be your fins, if it's called a fin. It's not a fairing, it's a fin. Okay, so when you lift the model up, I'd recommend, if you want to pack it away or whatever, besides taking it apart, is actually flip it up onto the engine so it's that the bottom sits against the surface. Because these parts are very delicate, so you do not want to lift this up over here because they'll break. This model is 6 kilograms. Okay, so what I recommend is put 2 fingers into the engines and then put one hand around this section and just flip it over backwards. Lift it up, flip it backward, and then stand it up. Okay. Another obvious delicate part is your dish. Okay, so don't drop this, it'll break. Very delicate. Once you take it, it'll come on the supports. Be very careful when you take them off. If it breaks, cut all your printed parts on a surface, preferably a cloth surface. So if something breaks, it doesn't bounce away, it falls, it stays in the area. Else you do like I do sometimes, searching on the floor with a torch to find parts, and it's a pain in the arse. Okay. Another delicate part could be your front guns. Okay, they are movable up and down. This can also rotate because you got your screw underneath, and the obvious one is the bottom one as well. And these parts are pretty well protected, so but do take care of them. And these little bits on the these little bits under the sides and the rear part, when you put it in, just keep an eye on them so they don't break off. Other parts that can break if you lift the model is there's a wire over here that can break off, so just take care of it. And then for obvious reasons, this one, like I explained just now, this printed part, it actually goes under the stand. There's a gap in the stand where it goes, if you can see that. So with this in, be very, very careful when you put it on the stand, you don't break this part. Okay, it is pretty sturdy, but I mean, don't break it. It's important for the detail. Okay, don't put the model flat down on a surface. If you're going to, you can do that. Remove your front gun, remove your air horns. It's a warning signal that the Empire's in the area. So this looks like a World War II warning. I don't know, I think so. Is it an antenna? I don't know. It's got a huge antenna on top, so I have no idea what this is for, but it looks good. Okay, so what I'm talking about, this back area, is you can mount this model from 4 different sides. So the obvious one is this. Take this off like the actual miniature at the moment, and that's a 1-inch hole at the bottom. Now I did explain before you glue this part on, is fill up around the inside with filler. Okay, then you can, I haven't done this yet, so you might need to drill through into the pipe. Okay, to actually get a mount in there to mount on the back. Other option is your side. This should come out. Okay, so I will make a 3D file where you can and provide that file for you guys to print on an FDM printer that you can shove in there with a 1-inch hole, because I presume everyone out there might be using 1-inch holes. We don't use inches, we use a metric. That's 2.5 centimeters, 2.54 centimeters to be exact, and then you can mount your model from the side. Now once again, I'm going to have to make a printed part you can shove into the pipe, and then there's actually a little dent on the inside where you can drill your hole through. It might need a thing inside, else the model will flip forward. Okay, and on your rear, okay, this engine comes out, center engine. So if you're going to put a mount in, I'd recommend unscrewing the sides of the mount and then screwing it back in again to hold the side engines. Also, because this is one unit, these 3. And then I'll make another 3D file available that you can mount a pipe in from the rear, like they did in the filming model. And then you can actually have it maybe even rotate side to side at an angle, which will be quite damn awesome, especially if it's lit. You can use it for filming then, and I'd love to see some videos of this flying through space being chased by a Star Destroyer. Okay, and while we're on this back section, I have taken photos, but you might not see it. But the docking area that's seen in Rogue One is there. So let me try and focus. There it is. Okay, so you got a Rogue One docking ring at the back. You might be able to make a diorama with this thing inside a Star Destroyer. Well, not a Star Destroyer, inside a I think it's a Calamari cruiser that it was in. Obviously you got your rear sections. These can come off and you can add your lighting in. Now I have not added lighting, so I haven't done a video. I'll do a video if I do it, when I do it. Okay, I did a lot of airbrushing on this kit, as you can see. We're not all over. I mean, it's mostly a wash on the model. Okay, so the next point is interior of the model. This can come off, and then you're going to have to cut the pipe. I do not know what it's going to do to the structure of it. It might need support at the bottom, maybe not. It's a very strong pipe, but this is made to fit into this area. There is there will be a picture on the build document which will show this inside the lower section, and then obviously your you get the kit with the cockpit and 5 characters including Leia. But if you want the full interior, this is going to have to, this goes behind it. It's made to fit into it. So that rear door leads into this corridor. Okay, so this is another modification I haven't finished. So I still have some work to do, but like I say, the main kit's finished. To show that off, you're going to have to remove this top, and then this doesn't have any screws, so you're going to have to take care of it. You can obviously close it, and then if you have light, you'll be able to see all the way through the back door of the cockpit into the interior, which makes some nice photos, I reckon, as well. Then again, the painting I described before. I was doing the painting videos. I tried my best to look at all the images I have, and there are a lot of where the squares, etc. are. The only thing I think I might have got wrong is this top one. This one here, I think, should be this color, this turquoisey green color, because for some bloody reason, I don't know why, all the photos online that I got from people that have been at the exhibitions for the original filming kit, there's no right hand photos. I mean, I got help from people with right hand photos, but just not the areas that I wanted. I tried my best for the coloring. I had good images for the details on the right hand side. Okay, so for the detail under here, there's a little detail over here and over here, and this piping on the side over here. So I got help for that. But as for the coloring, I know this is correct, these two. This is a bit of a elusive area, the right hand side. And the right hand side under here is a bit elusive, not too much. Take care of these grey squares go over the red. Yeah, so I think it's all that I can actually say. When you lift it up, try not to squeeze on the sides, you might destroy these over here, and like I call them on the other side, the bow ties or the hourglasses, these ones. Okay, and if you're going to handle the engines, you can easily grip them like this on either side. Just don't grip the middle, because you might break these parts, because they're all printed. But this here is all one unit, very easy. Okay, coming back to the bubble story, all of them have bubbles on the inside, on the mount on the inside, and that does not matter. You don't see it, and there's enough meat for your screw to go into to hold them. Obviously everything can be glued together, you don't have to remove it, but this can easily, as I stand over here, I can actually take his engine out. There it comes out. Boom. That's one engine unit. Okay, obviously these are sensitive parts. And while I'm on this, I noticed there is, on every engine on the right hand side, there's actually a pipe on the side, and it's actually a double pipe. I made it single. This is a sensitive part as it is. It's a bit thicker than it should be. And some engines have, it looks like a beam that runs on two stalks along this edge. Okay, I did not put them in, but if you want authenticity and add detail, use a 0.5mm wire and then just add them in. Okay, so I tried to go as detailed as I could, but to a certain point where it's like, okay, well, I have to ship this model, I don't want it to break too much while it's transporting, or at all for that matter. Okay, so that just goes in. This part and the lower one, the lower two middle ones, just slide in. There's no screws. These get held by the weight of the engine, so they won't fall out. The only ones screwed in are the side, these three on the sides, because it's a module. The module goes in. Then one other thing I'm going to show you guys on the engines is I glued on a part that's not actually on the original miniature. I think it fell off the miniature, so you do not need to glue it on. Just fill up the gap with filler. This piece, there's a little square part with a hole in it. Okay, so mount them the way that I show in the document or in this video. Right hand side top one, little hole down, and then left hand side, they both face up, the holes up and up. Okay, there's an option to put a screw through this one and the other side. I've actually provided the holes in this part. So if you feel that your little screw is not enough, because my engine is slightly hanging, but not too much, it's not noticeable. But if you want, you can put I won't provide screws for this, but you can if you want. Get the same type and zap it through there, and it'll hold it on. So then you're holding on with 3 screws on both sides. Okay. So for obvious reasons, this is not provided, because the weight is going to push it over the limit of price. So I provide these plastic parts. So you can use them, don't use them, use a pipe, get a piece of wood, get someone to make a nice hole, or do it yourself, make a nice hole to hold it very, very tight. Also, a delicate part over here is these wires, okay, on the 2 middle engines. Okay, and these are made to turn as well. You can turn them or remove them. Okay, I think that's it. So if you have any questions, see the inside. Whoop. I'm using my phone camera, so you might see it. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. I will help where I can. With any hassles or issues with the build. But yeah, it's been an interesting experience going through this process. I've been wanting this model for years, and I wanted a detailed model. Couldn't find any detailed model that was accurate to what I wanted. So what did I do? Made it myself. And now you guys can have this kit yourself on your shelf. Okay. Just one more thing is, you will see gaps if you do not glue it together, and these won't 100% line up. I actually made this thicker because there was a gap over here. So then you might need a modification here unless you glue it together. Then you can fill up the gap and glue this in. Okay. So that's why there's a gap there. It's not supposed to be there, but it's not noticeable. Okay. So that's it on the CR90. I'm going to bid you guys farewell. The next video is going to be a turntable. And then obviously I already cast kits and they'll be sent out pretty soon. But I'm quite happy. So imagine this video and start to show your background and you flies past. Quite cool. Okay, so I'll see you guys in the next model, which will probably be the Raider from the Razor Battlestar Galactica, and then the Base Star, and then I'll be doing the Ornithopter from Dune. And that will be a awesome model. So cheers guys, enjoy the build, and enjoy Christmas. Bye.